Okay, thank you for your patience. We are about to go into what the scriptures call the seven trumps and the seven seals. Also, we're going to go on a little bit and talk about the seven vials that you read of in Revelation. Okay. I think that most of us get the seven trumps and the seven vials confused because we tend to examine this in linear, or what we would call chronological order. I hear some people ask, and there's some teachers out there, some evangelists and other teachers out there, or so-called Bible scholars, they're claiming that we're in this seal, or we're in that seal, or we're in this seal. That whole concept is absolutely incorrect in biblical teaching. Okay? And I'm going to prove it. The concept of the seals is that we have to realize when Christ went to the throne, everything was really finished. Where he is, it's finished. We're just bound by our time. It's not finished in our time. So when he went to the throne, he opened the seals. The trumpets were blown, and events happens within the earth based on him taking his blood to the heavenly tabernacle and shedding his blood and getting dominion that was given to him by the Father. We're just living in our time, and these seals are being executed in one facet or the other while we're on earth. So it was finished when Christ went to the cross and shed his blood. But what we are seeing now is the seals being fulfilled with our time on earth. And I'm going to prove that. Go to Revelations. And we're going to explain what the seals are. Let's go to Revelations, chapter 1. And I need you to get Daniel's 7th chapter also. Now, some of the things we teach today, I don't know how long some of you have been following the teachings, but I hope you can all stay with us. Some of it will be meat, which is, when I say meat, it's a what you would call an understanding that's kind of high. When you go into Revelations, that's why a lot of preachers and teachers like to stay away from Revelations. It can be hard to be understood or hard to teach in itself, okay? So it can seem like the word is a little meat here, but we're going to try to break it down as elementary as possible. And if you have any questions about it, you can write it down, and at the end of the class, we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Let's go to Revelations 1 and 1.
Revelations chapter 1 verse 1. The revelation of Yeshua Christ, which the Most High gave unto him, to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass.
So the revelation means the revealing of Jesus Christ, or the anointed Savior. Okay, Yeshua. Let's go down to the 7th and 8th verse.
Verse 7. Behold, he cometh with the clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him. And all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen.
So in the Revelations, it's talking about Christ coming to judge the earth. And all on the earth will see him, even those that pierced him. Who pierced him? The Roman Empire. Now, just in a few verses, we gave you Christ's revelation and the fact that he's coming to judge. He haven't came to judge yet, but we can read this in the first chapter in itself. Read.
Verse 8. I am Alpha and Omega.
I'm what?
I am Alpha and Omega.
See, in Hebrew, it's I am Ah and I am Tha. Christ wasn't a Greek. He was a Hebrew. He says, I'm the beginning. That means he started in the beginning. When the Lord said, create the heavens and earth, Colossians 1:13 on down through 16 tell you he sent his son to create everything in the beginning. He's the beginning and he's the what?
And Omega.
And he's the Omega, which is Tha in the Hebrew. He's the end. And I'm saying this so that when you read these trumps, don't think it's talking about something in chronological order. I'm going to show you. It's talking about Christ, what he did in the earth, his blood, and what he will finish. And it's not all in chronological order. Let's go to Daniel, the 7th chapter. And then we're going to work our way into Revelations. Daniel 7. And let's start at the let's start at the 8th verse. Read.
Daniel chapter 7 verse 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in the horn were the eyes like a man, and a mouth speaking great things.
Shall speak against the Most High, shall think to change times and laws. It links directly into what we read earlier. Read.
I beheld till the thrones were cast down.
So then Daniel said he beheld until the thrones were cast down. Now he's seeing the empire speaking great things against the Most High, but he also seen the end of that empire. He beheld until the thrones were cast down. Read.
And the Ancient of Days did sit.
And the Ancient of Days did sit. Who is older than days? Ahia, the Most High himself. He beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days, which is the Most High, did sit. Read.
Whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame.
And his throne was like the fiery flame. The Most High sits on a throne made of pure fire. And Christ looked just like him. Hair of wool. Read.
And his wheels as burning fire.
And his wheels as burning fire. Whom a lot of us, or which a lot of us would call the chariots of the Most High. The wheels of the wheels come from the throne of the Most High. Go ahead.
Verse 10. A fiery stream issued forth and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened.
The judgment was set, and the books were opened. Now this is, he beheld till the thrones were cast down, and now Daniel has seen, he looked at everything up until the final judgment, in which the books are opened to judge the dead out of. Read.
Verse 11. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even until the beast was slain, and his body was destroyed, and given to the burning flame.
That's the future of these empires. Go ahead.
As concerning the rest of the beast, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days.
So now he's seeing that Christ is being taken to the Father. Christ is being brought to the Father. I'm going to show you when this happened. Read.
And they brought him near before him. And there was given unto him dominion and glory, and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed.
Now when Christ was crucified, he went to the heavenly tabernacle and shed his blood, and that began the beginning of his authority in the heavens. He had power over hell and the authority in heaven. This is what happened when Christ was crucified. But yet, we're still living in the earth. Why? We're bound by our time. It's finished. Christ already have the victory. Where he is, there is no time. He can see the beginning and the end of everything. It's finished. But we are living in our time, in our space. So we just haven't got to that point yet. So now let's go into Revelations and let's break down these seals. And it'll clear up with you all as we go through the scriptures. Just make sure you write down these precepts and things will clear up. Okay? Also, I'm glad we read this scripture, because if the Son of Man is being brought to the Ancient of Days, which is the Father who's sitting on a fiery throne, how can the Son of Man or Jesus Christ be God? He's being brought before the Father. So you see the confusion that goes on in the Christian church? Total confusion. Who is this being brought to the Ancient of Days and is given dominion? So stick with me here. Let's go to Revelations 5. And let's start at the first verse, and we're going to read down to the 6th verse.
Revelations chapter 5, verse 1.
Someone asked, didn't Yeshua say that before Abraham was, I am? You're absolutely correct. He did say that because before Abraham was, Christ was. He created everything we see. The Father sent him to create. The Most High never left the throne. So when Abraham needed understanding, the Most High sent Yeshua as the mediator. At that time, he was not representing himself because he didn't come into the flesh. So he wasn't representing himself. He wasn't in the flesh at that time. He was a mediator for the Father. He was the voice that spake in the burning bush to Moses. The Father always used the Son. That's why he said before Abraham was, I am. Because he was one with the Father, being sent to do the will of the Father before he came in the flesh. Yes, I am is the name of the Father. But at that time, Christ was not in the flesh. He was speaking for the Most High. He wasn't speaking for himself. Okay? Just to make it clear, he was speaking for the Father. He didn't come into the flesh until thousands of years later. Christ spoke to Moses. Let me prove that real quick. Hold that and get Corinthians 10. Get it? Mm-hmm. Yes, it was Christ that spoke to Moses. Let me prove that. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 10 and 1. Read.
1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1. Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant, how that all our fathers were under the cloud.
That all of our fathers were under the cloud. What cloud? The cloud that protected us by night and gave us covering by day. The cloud coming out of Egypt. So he's saying, moreover, brethren, I would not that you should be ignorant, how that all our fathers were under the cloud. Read.
And all passed through the sea.
And all passed through the sea. What sea? The Reed Sea, when the Most High split the waters. Read.
Verse 2. And were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea.
It says we're baptized unto Moses because in order to be saved, they had to follow Moses through the water. The same now, if we want to be saved, we must follow Christ through the water. And and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea. Read.
Verse 3. And did all eat the same spiritual meat.
And we ate the spiritual meat, which is the manna that rained from heaven, angels' food. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And did all drink the same spiritual drink.
And we all drank the same spiritual drink. Read.
For they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them.
They drank of that spiritual rock that followed them. Remember when Moses was standing before that rock and says, should I draw water from this rock? Guess who was bringing forth that water and that was performing all these miracles? Read.
And that rock was Christ.
That rock was who?
And that rock was Christ.
That rock was Yeshua. He was the one protecting us. He was the one doing all the miracles. He was the one guiding us. He was the one that spoke to Moses and said, I am that I am. The Most High sent him in the beginning. He sent him on our way out of Egypt. He sent Moses to Egypt. All right? Let's try to keep some of this these things that's going on in this page to a minimum until we get through this lesson, okay? Let's go back to Revelations. Thank you. I appreciate your cooperation. Revelations 5, let's start at the first verse. Read.
Revelations chapter 5, verse 1. And I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within, and on the back side sealed with 7 seals.
Sealed with 7 seals. Read.
Verse 2. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, Who is worthy to open the book, and to loose the seals thereof? And no man in heaven, nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look therein.
It says, and no man in heaven, nor in earth, neither under the earth. So what does that prove? That proves that spirits reside under the earth. Subterranean spirits. Those are spirits that's in Hades, and in what some of us call hell. The bosom of Abraham, or either the place of torments. No man in heaven nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. Read.
Verse 4. And I wept much, because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders said unto me, Weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah.
He told John, don't weep. The Lion of the tribe of Judah, go ahead.
The root of David.
The root of David, to show you that Christ came through David's roots. He came through David's loins. The fruit of David's flesh. Read.
Have prevailed to open the book.
When did he prevail? When he was crucified. Went into the belly of the earth. Took the power to release the souls in the earth. Then took his blood to the heavenly tabernacles. To the Father to shed his blood. Read.
And to loose the 7 seals thereof.
To let you know that when Christ went and took his blood to the heavenly throne, he loosed the 7 seals. They were loosed. Now, of course, they would have to happen within their own time, as far as our life goes, but they were loosed when Christ went into the heavens. So when someone asks, well, what seal are we in? They were loosed. All of them were loosed when Christ took his blood to the heavenly throne. We're going to read it. What verse you at?
Verse 6.
Read.
And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders stood a lamb, as it had been slain.
That's Christ's crucifix. Go ahead.
having 7 horns and 7 eyes.
Having 7 horns and 7 eyes. We're going to explain what those 7 horns and 7 eyes are. Go ahead.
Which are the 7 spirits of the Most High, sent forth into all the earth.
Which are the 7 spirits that are sent forth by the Most High into all the earth. So when Christ went to the throne, that began an action that would happen in the earth that would lead to his coming. So now these spirits can operate that would bring this kingdom we're talking about. The kingdom of Israel within the earth again. So now events must happen so that the Alpha and Omega be fulfilled. You with me? Follow me here. So let's go into the 7 spirits. Let's go to Revelations 1 and 20. Hold Revelations 1 and 20 and get Amos 9 and 8. And then we're going back to Revelations. Revelations 1 and 20. Going back to Revelations. Hold what you got in the other Revelations 5, right? Okay, thank you. Go to Revelations 1 and 20 and Amos 9 and 8.
Revelations chapter 1 verse 20.
Go ahead.
The mystery of the 7 stars.
Here's the mystery of the 7 stars. Read.
Which thou sawest in my right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches.
The 7 stars are the angel of the 7 churches. You're going to find out these are the 7 spirits, or what the Bible called the eyes of the Most High. Read.
And the 7 candlesticks which thou sawest are 7 churches.
You have 7 churches. So these 7 spirits is over the 7 churches. You're going to find out those 7 horns were 7 churches that represented Christ. And that each of these churches would have a key ingredient that would make a complete church when you put all 7 together. This is what Satan is trying to stomp out of the earth today. The true doctrine of these 7 churches. That's the doctrine we're trying to bring forth in the earth to take down all paganism. The spirit that's over the 7 churches and the doctrine of the original 7 churches, which is really the spirit of Christ. Okay? Now these spiritual churches, I say spiritual because they're not physical churches. Don't forget, Peter and the disciples were traveling house to house. They was establishing a church amongst the people. But when you go into the 7 churches in Revelations 2, it gives you the attribute of each church. If you take all the positive attributes of each of these churches, you have a complete church of Christ, regardless of the building. Okay? Now, get Amos 9 and 8.
Amos.
Now, mind you, just like these empires have 7 horns and like it says of the Roman Empire, 7 horns and 10 kingdoms, 7 heads. 7 heads and represents the Roman Empire and mountains and kingdoms. Christ have his 7 horns to fight the Roman Empire. That's the spiritual church. That's the church written of in the book of Revelation. Okay? Now we're going to go over that in a moment. I don't want to jump too far ahead. Let's stick with these 7 spirits that the Most High is using to bring forth these prophecies. Let's go to Amos 9 and 8. Read it.
Amos chapter 9 verse 8. Behold, the eyes of the Most High God are upon the sinful kingdom.
Hold up. Read it again.
Behold, the eyes of the Most High power are upon the sinful kingdom.
It says the eyes of the Most High power, or the eyes of the Most High God, are upon the sinful kingdom. Don't forget, these 7 spirits are what they call the eyes of the Lord. Read.
And I will destroy it from off the face of the earth.
And the Most High will destroy that sinful kingdom from off the face of the earth. So the 7 eyes reports back to the Most High. And these seals will lead to the destruction, the total annihilation of that place that we're gonna give you the precepts on it soon. Of that place that the Bible calls Babylon. All this destruction in the earth is aimed towards destroying, taking out Babylon. Now, let me make this clear. I know some of you are talking about what the elitists is doing and what those guys are doing out there, but believe it or not, I'm going to prove this. We're looking at what the Jewish people are doing and how they're destroying things in the wars. The Most High actually opened up a seal to allow them to do what they're doing. He opened up a seal that gave them the power that would eventually lead to their own destruction. But it will take down the majority of the earth. And that's in these seals also. You're absolutely, and Yeshaya servant, you are a little before us, but yes, you're going to see that the same way the Most High have his eyes that reports to him, Satan have now put cameras all around the world so that he can become the all-seeing eye, like the Most High is able to see everything. So he want to become like God. You are absolutely correct. Let's go back to Revelations 5 and read the 6th verse on down.
Revelations chapter 5 verse 6. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of the Most High.
So these 7 spirits are over the 7 churches. Those 7 horns are the 7 churches we read of in Revelations 2. Go ahead.
Which are the 7 spirits of the Most High, sent forth into all the earth. And he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints.
So our prayers go up to the Most High, and he put it in a vial. Okay? And then the Most High sends back our prayers with these seals that are being fulfilled in the earth. Because the destruction of this world is the beginning of Jacob's kingdom. So instead of focusing on how bad things are going to be, we have to realize these things must get this way. Christ made it so that it would get this way to lead to his coming. Read.
Verse 9.
Now these 4 beasts, these are 4 hideous beasts that stands before the throne of the Most High and worship him day and night. If the average man was to see one of these beasts, they would drop dead. They would fall dead just beholding one of these beasts. But they stand before the Most High's throne, his fiery throne, and worship him and praise him day and night. These 4 beasts are the 4 spirits that comes in different parts of the earth to fulfill these seals and to fulfill some of these trumps, and we're going to get that soon. Read.
Verse 9. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book, and to open the seals thereof. For thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us unto the Most High, by the blood out of every kindred, and tongue, and people, and nation.
So this is what the elders sung before the throne. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book, and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us to the Most High by thy blood. So these 24 elders was redeemed by the blood. So these guys, or what we call the 24 elders that's before the throne, they must have been operating within the earth. And we'll get that too. And it says, out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. Read.
Verse 10. And has made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth.
So these 24 elders are before the throne, but they know eventually, once things are fulfilled, that they will be reigning on the earth. They understand this. So at what point did some of these elders get taken to the throne of the Most High? Follow me. Go to Psalm 16 and 10. Psalm 16 and 10. I need you to hold Matthew 5. And Acts, the 2nd chapter. Read Psalm 16 and 10 first.
Psalms chapter 16 verse 10. For thou would not leave my soul in hell.
So David understood that the Most High was not going to leave his soul in hell. Read.
Neither wilt thou suffer thy Holy One to see corruption.
Neither wilt thou suffer thy Holy One to see corruption. There were patriarchs and righteous men of the Most High from the past that knew that Christ would come and deliver them once he was crucified. That David's soul would not be left in Hades. Read Acts 2 and 26 down through 33.
Acts chapter 2 verse 26. Therefore did my heart rejoice, and my tongue was glad. Moreover, also my flesh shall rest in hope, because thou wilt not leave my soul in hell.
Because thou wilt not leave my soul in hell. Read.
Neither wilt thou suffer thy Holy One to see corruption.
Go ahead.
Thou hast made known to me the ways of life. Thou shalt make me full of joy with thy countenance. Men and brethren, let me speak freely unto you of the patriarch David, that he is both dead and buried, and his sepulchre is with us unto this day.
Go ahead.
Therefore, being a prophet, and knowing that the Most High had sworn with an oath to him, that of the fruit of his loins, according to the flesh, he would raise up Christ to sit on his throne.
Read on.
He seeing this before spake of the resurrection of Christ.
He spoke of what?
Spake of the resurrection of Christ.
So when David says that the Most High will not suffer his soul to be kept in hell, he was speaking of that Christ. He was speaking of the fact that Christ would help deliver him from that area during the resurrection. Read.
That his soul was not left in hell.
That his soul was not left in hell. Read.
Neither his flesh did see corruption.
Read.
This Yeshua hath the Most High raised up, whereof we are all witnesses.
This Yeshua have the Most High raised up, whereof we all are witnesses. Read on.
Therefore, being by the right hand of the Most High exalted.
That's when he went and resurrected back to the Father. Therefore, being by the right hand of the Most High exalted. Read.
And having received of the Father the promise of the Holy Spirit.
That's when it was finished. That's when he got dominion. That's when he was able to release some souls. These are the elders that stand before the throne till this day. Read.
He hath shed forth this, which ye now see and hear.
Now, I need you to go to 1 Peter 3 and 18. We just read Acts, the 2nd chapter. Now we're going to 1 Peter 3 and 18.
First Peter chapter 3 verse 18.
Go ahead.
For Christ also hath once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to the Most High.
So it says, Yeshua suffered for our sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to the Most High. Read.
Being put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Spirit.
Read the 19th verse.
By which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison.
So while Christ was crucified, he went down into Hades and preached to the souls that were in prison, that was bound. Hold that. We're doing precepts here. And get 1 Peter 4 and 5.
1 Peter chapter 4 verse 5. Who shall give account to him that is ready to judge the quick and the dead? For this cause was the gospel preached also to them that are dead.
The gospel was preached also to them that are dead. Read.
That they might be judged according to men in the flesh, but live according to the Most High in the Spirit.
But live according to the Most High in the Spirit. Christ actually went into Hades and preached to souls and released some souls. These souls are elders before the throne. Okay? Now, we can't give account to everyone, but we know David is one, and we know the disciples also are part of this number. And we're going to prove that. Go back to Matthew, the 5th chapter. Go back to Matthew 5 and take up where you left off at. Revelations 5, excuse me.
Revelation chapter 5 verse 11. And I beheld, and I heard the voice of many angels round about the throne, and the beast and the elders, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000, and thousands of thousands.
You see that 10,000 times 10,000s and thousands of thousands? Did you notice how this links directly into Daniel, the thousands of thousands that was worshiping before the Most High when the Son of Man was brought to the Ancient of Days? Daniel seen this same vision. Read.
Verse 12. Saying with a loud voice, Worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power and riches.
So this is what Christ is going to bring. Power, riches, go ahead.
And wisdom.
And wisdom, go ahead.
And strength.
And strength.
And honor.
And honor.
And glory and blessings.
And glory and blessings. Christ is going to bring us these things. So when we understand this, there's nothing this world can do for us. Christ is going to bring all these things we mentioned, but he had to lay this life down to receive all these things we see here. The disciples have to wait to get all these things, but they will get all these things in abundance when they return, because they gave up their life to receive this. An incorruptible kingdom that will never fade away. Your bank account will fade away, your life will fade away, everything you have someone else will live in or drive or own. But what Christ is bringing, it's forever. Read.
Verse 13. And every creature which is in heaven, and on the earth, and under the earth.
And under the earth, again, read.
And such as are in the sea, and all that are in them, heard I saying, Blessing and honor and glory and power be unto him that sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb forever and ever. And the four beasts said, Amen.
They said, so be it. Go ahead.
And the 24 elders fell down and worshipped him that liveth forever and ever.
Now start at the 6th verse.
Chapter 6 verse 1. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come and see.
So one of the four beasts says, come and see it. I saw the Lamb open the seal. So when Christ shed his blood, he went to the heavenly tabernacle, put his blood on the tabernacle, and got full power like we read in Daniel's. And then he was worthy to open up these seals that would one day bring forth his kingdom within this earth. This is what we're witnessing here in Revelations. This happened when Christ went to the throne. Read.
Verse 2. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. And when he had opened the second seal.
Now let's see what the first seal is again. Read that first seal.
Verse 2. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer.
This is talking about Christ. Always get Revelations 19 and 11. This proves to us that the seals are not in chronological order. They're not in chronological order because it says the first seal is Christ going to conquer. Have Christ took down the earth yet? No. He haven't came back and judged this earth yet, but he will. to show you that it's not in chronological order. The Most High just made it so when he opened the seals, events would happen in the earth that would lead to this. Okay? Read Revelations 19 and 11. Read it.
Revelations chapter 19 verse 11.
Go ahead.
And I saw heaven open, and behold a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war.
In righteousness he judge and he make war. This is Christ coming back to conquer. Read.
And his eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns.
On his head was many crowns, because when Christ come back, he's going to conquer and take all the crowns from every leader in earth. Read.
And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself.
So he's coming back with another name that no man knew but what?
But he himself.
But he himself. Go ahead.
And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood.
And his vesture will be dipped in blood. We're going to go into that in a moment. But I wanted to show you that conquering is one of the last things that will happen. But yet, it's the release of the first seal. That proves that it's not in chronological order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In which you have to sit back and wait for one thing. And I'm glad it's not that way. Because if people seen prophecy that way, they would wait until the last minute to get right. They would wait until the last minute to try to change things, saying, okay, we're not in this seal yet, so I can still do this until this seal happened. The Most High didn't make it that way. All these 7 seals are happening one after the other within the earth the same time, leading to Christ returning. Let's go back to Revelation 6.
Revelation chapter 6. Verse 4.
Go ahead.
6 verse 2. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer.
Go ahead.
And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, Come and see. And there went out another horse that was red.
And hold up. What was the first horse? That was Christ, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the second horse?
And there went out another horse that was red.
Now, here's another seal that the Most High released, or that Christ released. This red horse is who? This red horse is the Idumean Empire, along with the dragon. Read.
And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given him.
And power was given him. Read.
That sat thereon to take peace from the earth.
So this red horse was set up to take peace from the earth. Hold on to Revelations 12. So the Idumeans were set up to take peace from the earth. So what they're doing in the earth is actually part of a seal. The red horse is talking about is the Idumeans. Read Revelations 12 and 3.
Revelations chapter 12 verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon.
A great what?
A great red dragon.
A great red dragon. Read.
Having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Having seven heads and 10 horns. The 7 heads represents Rome. The 10 horns represents the EU that came out of Rome. So now the Most High gave them power for a time as a seal to actually do war in the earth. So you wonder why there's war? It's part of the seal that was given to these people as a prerequisite of their time to rule. In order for them to rule, they must execute this seal. So they just go around causing war all over the earth. It's the fulfillment of prophecy. These things must happen. It's part of the seal. That's the red horse. Let's go back to Revelations, the 6th chapter. Matter of fact, hold that and get Revelations 12 and 12. Read Revelation 12 and 12 while you're there.
Revelations chapter 12 verse 12. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth.
Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth. Why?
And of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time.
So if he's coming down on you knowing that he have a short time, there will be no peace. Who is he using? Idumean, or the Red Nation. That's who he's using. The Roman Empire he's using. Okay? Let's go back to Revelation 6. That's the red horse.
Revelation chapter 6 verse 4.
Go ahead.
And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth.
So Idumeans, or the Edomites, were set up to take peace from the earth. That's part of the seal. Read.
And that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a
So they shall do what?
And that they should kill one another.
So the Most High set this up, these wars in the earth, so that these people would eventually destroy themselves. Read.
And there was given unto him a great sword. And when he had opened the third seal.
Now, a great sword is talking about their weaponry. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine.
So now, see that thou hurt not the oil or the wine. Right? What does this represent? I need you to go to Zechariah. Follow me here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go to Zechariah. I'll show you these precepts link up here. Let's go to Zechariah. And let's go to the 6th verse. Read.
Zechariah chapter 6 verse 6.
Start at the first verse. And please hold what you have so we can go to the exact verse you left off at, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Zechariah chapter 6 verse 1. And I turned, and lifted up my eyes, and looked, and behold, there came 4 chariots out from between 2 mountains, and the mountains were mountains of brass.
These 4 chariots represent 4 spirits that the Most High said he would hold the 4 winds until a certain time. So the chariots of the Lord comes into the earth to bring forth prophecies. There's a specific 4, and when they come through, they release others. And I'm going to prove that too. Read.
Verse 2. And the first chariot were red horses.
Red horses, like we read, that's a seal that allowed Edom to take peace out of the earth. Go ahead.
And in the second chariot, black horses.
The black horses, what we just read, which says oil and wine, because it says, do not hurt the earth or the sea until you seal the name in their foreheads. Linking to Revelation 7. We're going to get that. Read.
Verse 3. And in the third chariot, white horses.
White horses. Go ahead.
And in the fourth chariot, gristled and bay horses.
Go ahead.
Then I answered and said unto the angel that talked with me, What are these, my Lord?
So he asked him, what are these? What is this? That's what Zechariah is asking. Let's see his answer. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And the angel answered and said unto me, These are the 4 spirits of the heavens, which go forth from standing before the Lord of all the earth.
So these 4 spirits bring forth the seals within the earth at certain times. And guess what? Esau know this. The powers that rule know this. And that are trying technology, they're testing technology to try to figure out how the angels go from one realm into the next realm so they can wait for them for war. And this is happening as we speak. All right? And it says, And the angel answered and said unto me, These are the 4 spirits of heaven, which go forth from standing before the Lord of all the earth. The 4 beasts bring forth these prophecies within the earth. Hold Revelation 6. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
And go to Revelation 7 and 1. Now, this is being recorded, so you'll be able to go over it again. I hope I have a lot I need to go through. Believe it or not, these seals that are broken, that are allowing these things to happen on the earth. Yes, spirits on the left-hand side are operating within the earth with these seals. Absolutely. Beyond any shadow of a doubt. Hold that. Let me answer that. I'm gonna prove that real quick. One moment. One moment here. Get Isaiah 45:7. You're going to find out that the heavenly realm and the chariots of the Most High are prominent within everything that's going on within the earth this day. That's the connection that America and these elites don't want people to know. That when you see this activity with UFOs and all this is happening right now, it's an actual seal being broken and spirits being released in the earth to bring forth these prophecies. Okay? It's the angelic forces that are bringing forth these seals. Of course, the Edomite powers and the governments are trying to slow them up. But no, they can't. These angels come through and they cause the nuclear reactors to start up. They start things. They get into the machinery. They do all type of things that make them go into war. Read it. Isaiah 45:7.
Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7. I form the light and create darkness.
Read it again.
I form the light and create darkness.
That's what we read earlier in Genesis 1:1. He formed the light and create darkness. The Most High. Read.
I make peace and create evil.
He do what?
I make peace and create evil.
When these seals go forth, the Most High be utilizing both sides for his will. Read.
I, the Most High, do all these things.
The Most High do all these things. So Satan can't do anything outside the realm and power the Most High gave him. Let's make that clear. He can't. And he can only utilize those that are subject to his realm, to do his will, as far as Satan goes. Okay? Let's go back. To show you that the Most High is working both sides of it. He's bringing forth these seals to release his people. It's all leading to Christ breaking that atmosphere on that white horse. That's what this leading to. Okay? Let's go back.
Revelations chapter 7, verse 1. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth.
Same thing we read in Zechariah. I'm going to link it in. Read.
Holding the 4 winds of the earth.
Holding the destruction. Read.
That the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads.
So he told them, listen, don't hurt anything until the servants are sealed. Brothers and sisters, the servants, which are the 144,000, 12,000 from each tribe, we don't know them all, but they have been sealed. We don't know them all, but they have been sealed because the earth is being hurt right now. Those 4 angels are loose. And even earlier this year, during January, you had all the ships in the Gulf of Aden, near Ethiopia and Somalia, waiting for a spirit to come through a realm. They understand exactly where these 4 ports are, but they can't do anything about it. Let's go back to 6 and 4, the black horse.
Zechariah chapter 6 verse 4. Then I answered, Zechariah.
No, Revelation 6 and 5.
Revelation chapter 6 verse 5. And when he had opened the 3rd seal, I heard the 3rd beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny.
A measure of wheat for a penny. So there'll be a prosperous period for bartering and setting up a money system. That's what this represents. Who did this? Your Jewish people, your Rawchaas. Read.
And 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see, thou heard not the oil and the wine.
So the oil and wine, there was a resource in the earth in which there was abundance of oil and wine and resources for a time, until the seal was broken, and now the earth is being hurt. It's not bringing forth its fruit like it was before. But at one time, it was. And that's when your Rothschilds and your Jewish families that are linked directly with Satan took full advantage of this time and set up a money system of bartering of weights and measures. Read.
Verse 7.
Go ahead.
And when he had opened the 4th seal.
The 4th seal, go ahead.
I heard the voice of the 4th beast say, Come and see.
Come and see.
And I looked, and behold, a pale horse.
Now let's examine this pale horse.
And its name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed him, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the 4th part of the earth. And
power was given to them over the 4th part of the earth to do what?
To kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth.
It says, And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the 4th part of the earth. Now once you can control the finances, next thing you know, you can now go against the people. And it says, to kill with the sword, that's through war like they're doing now, with hunger, making people hungry, 3rd world countries, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. Talking about the empires or kingdoms of the earth. So that was another seal to allow this to happen. Okay? Which actually going to lead to a high level extermination of people within the earth itself. Read.
Verse 9. And when he had opened the 5th seal.
Here's the 5th seal. Go ahead.
I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of the Most High, and for the testimony which they held.
So when he opened the 5th seal, he saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of the Most High, those that were killed for teaching the truth, and for the testimony which they held. See, that's one thing about those that teach the truth. They are a threat to the world, and usually the end result of their actions is death, if they hold the true testimony of Christ. And that proves also that in Christianity, they're not holding a testimony. They're not threatening nothing in this earth with what they're saying, with what they're bringing. What they're bringing is not a threat to this earth at all. Read.
Verse 10. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, doest thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth?
Read that last part again.
And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, doest thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth?
Why can't you avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? Now, how are these brothers in the heavenly realm saying, asking the Most High to avenge their blood if they wasn't on earth as martyrs, going back into the 24 elders? those that were martyred and was given power and victory and was able to stand before the throne of the Most High and worship the Most High day and night, and also make fervent prayer for the saints from the heavenly realm. Read.
Verse 11. And white robes were given unto every one of them.
White robes were given to every one of those men. Read.
And it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled.
So they should rest for a little season until the rest of their brothers be martyred. But in the meantime, they before the throne, begging the Father to avenge the blood of them and their brothers and sisters that have died within this earth. That's what we have on the throne with Christ right now. We have Christ at the throne as our intercessor, and we have the elders that pray for us day and night. That when we send our prayers up on the Sabbath, they take our prayers and put it in censers and pray to the Most High to bring this quickly so that Israel can rule again in the earth. Read.
Verse 11.
Go ahead.
And white robes were given unto every one of them. And it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled.
Go ahead.
And I beheld, when he had opened the sixth seal.
Here's the sixth seal. Go ahead.
And lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind.
Read that last part again.
And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind.
It says, and the stars of heaven fell into the earth. That's actually talking about when Christ says in Matthew 24, as in the days of Noah, then shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Fallen stars, fallen angels. It's happening as we speak. It's happening in our time as we speak. And it says here, and the stars of heaven fell into the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. Read the 14th verse.
Verse 14. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together.
That heaven departed as a scroll is talking about the eventual nuclear hit within the earth. Read.
And every mountain and island were moved out of their places.
Now what can make every mountain move out of their place? Yes, a nuclear hit. War. Read. What verse?
Verse 15.
Go ahead.
And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every freeman, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains.
So when this happens, when these nukes start hitting, you're going to have the chief authority and the elitists of this earth running into their underground caverns. That was a seal that was, since Christ was at the throne, that knew that this would happen. They would have underground caverns to hide themselves from the nuclear fallout. They know exactly what's coming. Read that last part again.
Verse 15. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every freeman, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains.
They have hidden caverns in a lot of these mountains all over the world. Fallout shelters. All over the world. It's written of in the Bible. It's part of one of the seals that they will start running into their underground caverns. Read.
Verse 16. And said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come.
For the great day of his wrath is come. Read.
And who shall be able to stand?
And who shall be able to stand? So the Most High put a spirit on them with one of these seals to make war all through the earth, and that eventual war going to lead to them destroying themselves. Now, just imagine how meticulous this plan is by the Most High. He says he will give the red horse power, and so that they cannot make peace. So their whole attribute, their whole mission in the earth is to make war and think they're going to take all the resources. No. You're going to end up destroying yourself, running under some rock somewhere, waiting for Christ to come drag you out and deal with you and take your crown. That's the future. Let's go to Revelations 8. Read.
Revelations chapter 8 verse 1. And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour.
When he opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of a half hour. Just total silence when this last seal was being opened. Let's examine this seal. Read.
Verse 2. And I saw the seven angels which stood before the Most High, and to them were given seven trumpets. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne.
And this is what we do every Sabbath. Every Sabbath we pray to the Most High, and we ask the Most High that the angels take the prayers of the saints before the throne. We ask him every Sabbath, Lord, please allow our prayers to be taken before the throne. And so that the Most High in Christ could plead our cause, so they can hear our plea. Read.
Verse 4. And the smoke of the incense, which came with the prayers of the saints, ascended up before the Most High out of the angel's hand. And the angel took the censer, and filled it with fire of the altar, and cast it into the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake.
So when you see all these things happening in the earth, a lot of you might be alarmed or afraid. It's the Most High answering our prayers. 9 times out of 10 when this is happening, the Most High is tearing down somebody or some government that have been fighting against us in the dark. So the Most High send earthquakes their way. He send lightnings. He burn their houses up. He take them down. Because we have no weaponry, the angels must fight for us. 6th verse.
Verse 6. And the seven angels which have the seven trumpets prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and mingled fire with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. And the third part of trees was burnt up, and all green grass was burnt up.
Now you know this is after the Lord have released those 4 angels, because he says, hurt not the earth or the sea until this is finished. Now, mind you, we knew that Christ would come back with what we call the first seal, but we read right here with the first trump that something is happening here. Hell, fire mingled with blood, because all these things are going to be happening while Christ is returning. Him taking down blood, destruction. Read.
Verse 8. And the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea.
A great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. Read.
And the third part of the sea became blood.
And the third part of the sea became blood. We was talking about how the industrial complex, which is BP and all these other industrial corporations, have tainted the waters. And which you got a volcano like a mountain spewing oil all over the seas, causing the water to turn to blood to the point where they can't even drink the water. We can't even drink the water. Over in Europe, in Russia right now, you can look on what you would call British news, and you can look it up. There's a major water line here in Russia through the Ukraine and all that area, and it's just like red mud with all types of toxins in it. Arson is in the water, metals are in the water, and the people, it's just running like water, like blood, all through their villages, killing them as we speak. And then on top of that, that water that's subsiding on the coast is going to seep into the ground and have a certain level of toxicity for years to come. People cannot live on that landmass. But yet, they're not telling anyone. This is all Bible prophecy, in which a majority of mankind must die. A majority must die. And through all this, how many people are really trying to come back to the Most High? All these seals are going on at one time, and people are still going on about their life like everything is normal. Read.
Verse 9. And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed.
This is all the seals of the Most High. Now the seals were open a long time ago, but it took time for these things to be fulfilled and come to pass. And this is showing the coming of our Lord. Read.
Verse 10. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers, and upon the fountains of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the star of the waters became wormwood.
And the third part of the waters become wormwood. That's bitter water. So there's a spirit that was released to make it in which the water resources will begin to dry up, in which you can't even drink water. Can you imagine the time of the disciples and Christ walking around with a plastic bottle of water? That was unheard of. Moses with a plastic bottle of water just to drink good water. This is the time we're living in. And they're so evil, they're actually putting fluoride and different metals in the clean water, in the water that they're selling you in bottles. This is that wormwood, that spirit of them trying to kill a high population of the earth, which they will fulfill. Read.
Verse 12. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon.
So when it talks about the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, where are you? In Revelations 8, right?
8 and 12.
8 and 12. I need you to link that to Isaiah 13 and 10. So when it says a third part of the sun was smitten, or the stars, you might think it's talking about something hitting the moon or hitting the stars. It has nothing to do with that. We're going to give you the precept so you can understand what that means. Revelations 13 and 10. Read it.
Isaiah
13 and 10. Read it.
Isaiah chapter 13, verse 10. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light.
When it says the stars of heaven and the constellations shall not give their light, it's actually talking about in the beginning the Most High gave us the stars and the constellations for seasons and to know the times. So the Most High is going to make it where their so-called astrologers cannot see exactly what's going on as far as the future is concerned. That's what it's talking about. He'll take away their power in which they can see the stars, but it won't read like it used to in the past. They would only see a fragment of it or a part of it, opposed to understanding what the Most High is saying through the stars. Read.
Isaiah chapter 13, verse 10. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. And I will punish the world for their evil.
And he shall punish the world for their evil. So all this is happening to judge the unrighteous. To judge the unrighteous, especially those that are living but yet don't want to repent from anything. Don't want to try to work things out on a daily basis and get right with the Most High. It's time to just, no matter what we've done, to start getting ourselves right. Let's go back to Revelations. Where you left off at there.
Verse 12.
Read.
Revelations chapter 8, verse 12. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise.
Go ahead.
And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth.
That's woe, woe, woe. That's 3 destructions, which means destruction, destruction, destruction. So it seems we're aiming everything towards the elitists and talk about the elitists, and we should, but still they're only doing what the Most High allowed them to do under their seal. They're operating in the spirit of Satan, and they're going to kill as many people as they can, especially those who are immoral and are trying to actually scorn the truth of the Most High and go against the Most High. The Zionist powers are aimed towards sinners. That's why in their movies and everything they promote, it's to promote sin, because if you sin, they have power over you and they can use you. So this destruction of the seals, we shouldn't fear if we're serving the Most High. It's only for those that are falling under the umbrella and following and worshiping the mark of the beast. Read.
Verse 13. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, 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 to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the 3 angels, which are yet to come, which are yet to sound, excuse me.
Okay. Now, it says 3 angels which are yet to sound. Go to Revelation 14. I wish I could go through the whole thing, but believe it or not, you have to read the whole Revelations from 1 all the way to the end of it to understand and break down the 7 seals. It's not talking about seals happening in chronological order. When Christ went to the throne, he opened up the seals and released it in the earth. He released them. So now these are prophecies being fulfilled, one after another, one in its turn, another in its turn, that will eventually lead to him coming through the sky and judging what's left. Go to Revelations 14 and let's start the first verse.
Revelations chapter 14 verse 1.
Listen to this clearly. Read.
And I looked, and lo, a Lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000.
So when Christ come back, from when he's standing in the east, as soon as he come back in the earth, he's going to be standing with 144,000. 12,000 men from each tribe on Mount Zion. Read.
Having his father's name written in their foreheads.
Having their father's name what?
Written in their foreheads.
So this is what we know for sure. The 144,000 will know the Most High's name. And it's about 30 billion people out there, millions of people that know Yahweh and all these other names. But we know the 144,000, which is a small remnant, will actually be saying the Most High's name. We know that for sure. It says here, and I looked, and lo, a Lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with them 144,000, having the Father's name written in their foreheads. That's the seal of the Most High. That's the seal of the Most High. Read.
Verse 2. And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder, and the voice of the harpers harping with their harps. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne.
Now listen to this new song they will sing before the throne. Read.
And before the 4 beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000, which were redeemed from the earth.
Only the 144,000 will know this new song. Read.
Verse 4. These are they which are not defiled with women.
When it says they which are not defiled with women, these are those that have put down their lives and are not dealing with the philosophies of the earth, like the whore that sit on many waters, who's bringing philosophies. Okay? These men are not dealing with all these different philosophies in the earth. That's what that means. Read.
For they are virgins, These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth.
These are they that follow the Lamb, which is Christ, wheresoever he goeth. Let me get a precept to show you what that means when it says they are virgins. Yes. Because if you don't get this, they'll think that it's talking about physical when it's not speaking about physical. Second Corinthians 11:2. Read the first verse first.
2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1. Would to the Most High ye could bear with me a little in my folly, and indeed bear with me. For I am jealous over you with a godly jealousy. For I have espoused you to one husband.
It says, we were espoused to one husband, read.
That I may present you as a chaste virgin to Christ.
So that we can be presented as a chaste virgin to Christ. That's what that means. Once you've been baptized, you get a new garment and you're presented as a chaste virgin. Okay? A lot of these men had wives and so forth. It had nothing to do with the physical action. It had everything to do with their spiritual connection with the Most High or dealing with the Gentile or heathen gods. Let's go back to Revelation 14 and read the 4th verse again.
Revelation chapter 14, verse 4. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto the Most High.
Being the first fruits unto the Most High, read.
And to the Lamb.
Go ahead.
And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of the Most High.
And when it says without guile, you'll never hear these men speaking ill about other people or cursing out other people. Read.
Verse 6. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people.
So this scripture proves that we must teach the gospel to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. There was a spirit that had to go forth in which this would happen. Read.
Verse 7. Saying with a loud voice, fear the Most High, and give to him glory, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth, and the sea, and the fountains of waters.
This is what we must teach according to the gospel, to have everyone worship the original Father again, in spirit and in truth. Fear the Most High, which means keep his commandments. Give glory to him, which is a higher, and worship him that made heaven and earth, and the sea, and the fountains of waters. Read.
Verse 8. And there followed another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen.
Listen to this clear. Babylon is fallen.
Is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication.
Because she made all nations drink of the wine of her fornication. That's the Most High say over and over, Babylon the Great is fallen in Revelations. She made all the nations to drink of her wickedness and evil against the God of gods. Even the President of the United States, Barack Obama, actually made mockery of Christ and his speech at the Mount. His speech on the Mount. Totally made mockery and say, well, that doesn't apply today. Read.
Verse 9.
And the third angel.
And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image.
So if we worship the beast and his image, read.
And receive his mark in his forehead, or in his hand.
And if we receive that chip that's coming, that's a physical mark. Now, in order to take this mark on, you must first be living a certain lifestyle. That's walking in the spirit of the beast. That's the image they portrayed to you through television. That means you're living a life that was given to you by this world, and you're doing anything to keep that status. You're doing everything just to keep the status that Satan presented you. Read.
Verse 10. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb.
So anyone that take that mark and follow the image that America is giving, this is the future judgment. It's been written. Read.
Verse 11. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of the Most High and the faith of Yeshua.
So if you keep the commandments of the Most High and the faith of Christ, you're not receiving or accepting the mark of the beast. Now that leaves Christians out, because they believe in the faith of Christ, as they say, but they don't deal with the commandments of the Most High. Therefore, they are open to receive the image and mark of the beast. Read.
Verse 13. And I heard another voice from heaven saying unto me, Write, blessed are the dead which died in the Lord from henceforth.
So now, from that point, blessed is they that die in the name of the Lord from that time forth. So if people in Babylon but are willing to take death instead of getting the mark, you're blessed. You're blessed. And it doesn't matter where the mark is instituted. If we're willing to take death instead of the mark, we are blessed. Read.
Yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle.
What is he going to do with this sharp sickle? Read.
Verse 15. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, Thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, and he having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, which had the power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of the Most High. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horses' bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs.
So what this is talking about, this is actually speaking about Christ himself crushing the Idumean and Edomite governments of this earth. They are the winepress, the governments, the Idumean governments that have been set up for war. This is their judgment. Christ will take them down himself. Him, along with the 144,000, will take down all these governments. That links directly to Isaiah, the 63rd chapter, where it says that he will tread the winepress. And that winepress is the Idumean powers. Okay? Now, as you can see, these are not in chronological order. They're one out of the other. But through the precepts, you can link them up and understand that this is talking about events happening in the earth after Christ released the seals once he went to the heavenly throne and was taken to the Father. It's that simple. The whole point of this is we have to get through this. Ye that endure to the end, the same shall be saved. We must go through this. Okay? Again, I'm going to open this up for questions, but I'm going to say this. You notice that I seldom even speak about leaving Babylon anymore. And I do it for a purpose. We can't keep beating the dead horse over and over and over again. Everyone have their own lot according to the will of the Most High. Everyone have their own work that they must do. And some people's work is to stay in Babylon, just to help the other people, just to reject the mark of the beast, just to be there so that other people can lean on in our time of trouble. They will be blessed. They will be all right. They just need to make sure that they don't receive the mark of the beast. All right? And that's just the bottom line. We don't say that someone is evil or wicked because they don't want to leave Babylon. That's not the case at all. We just sounded, the Lord allowed us just to sound the trumpet, to let us know that we have to leave that place. That, listen, Babylon the Great is fallen, is fallen. Come out of them, my people. Judgment is coming. Christ is on his way. Okay? So after this, it goes into the 7 plagues. I'll probably go into that, the 7 plagues, tomorrow during the Sabbath. I want to take the next 15 minutes and answer questions. So I hope you got some understanding on the spirits, the 24 elders, which were past martyrs and brothers that stood for the Most High. But I'm going to answer all your questions. Just hold tight for 1 second, and I'll answer all your questions.